evening for us and for you. Sometimes someone's journey, their story can change someone else's life, and that's what we are wanting to instill here for sharing John's journey. But today's conversation, before I get into this, is going to be very personable, but I wanted to mention to you, and I kind of wrote this down here, John, when you guys want to learn more of what he's been doing, he has an incredible LinkedIn article he's been writing, a newsletter on LinkedIn, Straight Talk from the Edge. So it's something that you guys need to plug into if you're on LinkedIn. He's been doing this, and this is why we decided to do this podcast to share his journey in a two-part series. Tonight's the first one, and Saturday we're doing the second one. But it's a very personal conversation. It's vulnerable. And sometimes some people get uncomfortable when we get vulnerable about something, when we talk about real healing. But we really feel we need to do this. And John, first of all, this is John. Everybody say hi to John. I'm Monica. This is my husband, which is really phenomenal that we're able to do this. But it's been a journey that I've been on with him. But he has done an incredible transformation in this last year that has affected both of us in a very big way. So, John, like 10 months ago, you made a decision that changed everything in not just your health, but in your identity. And let's kind of start there. When did you really first realize that alcohol wasn't really serving you anymore?
Oh, actually, there's been times in my not too distant past where I knew that alcohol was definitely having a negative impact on my life, and my it impacted relationships. Um, I could tell in my health, my stamina, and just how I felt inside. And I just knew that you know what, this is really, I need to pay close attention to this. So most recently, I mean, I'd quit for 6 months, then come back. But most recently was just about a year ago, when I really hit a rock bottom when we came back from Costa Rica, and that's what I shared in my on my Straight Talk newsletter. And that was a game changer for me, because not only was I so depressed from my injury that I sustained, a broken leg in Costa Rica, which basically put me into a pretty dark space mentally, but I continued to cope by drinking. And my body was screaming at me about this time last year. And so I knew that it was, I was at a critical inflection point for me.
Yeah, it was a very dark time because
It
you, first
was,
of all, you couldn't move.
could not move.
You, yeah, you were, you just said a broken leg, broken femur. He smashed his femur. I mean,
Smashed the
it was a
daylights out. Yeah.
very devastating injury from something that was supposed to be a very pleasurable holiday. So, and that kind of took a spiral on that. So, let me just ask you, because you didn't just start drinking in that time frame. So, how did your childhood influence you into starting with alcohol?
Well, growing up in an alcoholic family, I knew firsthand at an early age how alcohol can devastate a family. And I started coping as a young child by eating a lot. It was food addiction along with alcohol addiction, but I didn't start drinking until later in life. But I knew as a child, seeing my father suffer from alcoholism, seeing our family suffer from alcoholic situations, that I made a promise to myself, like, I'm not going to do this. Okay, I'm not going to grow up and be like my father in this regard. And sure enough, I did. After I came to Colorado right out of grad school and started a new career, a new life in Colorado, and meeting new people, going out, socializing, partying, and it crept up on me. It crept on me. But as a young child, I knew back then, and but still, it was normalized. It was, my father was doing it all the time, and he had his friends, but I could see, and I mean, I grew up without a father. um, because of that.
And when did you find there was like a shift, a habitual shift, I should say, into something more with coping with it, using it as a coping mechanism? Did you ever find that happen to you while you were drinking?
Oh, absolutely. Again, coming on to a new career, high stress, high tech career right out of grad school. Um, it was it was definitely I used alcohol to cope with a lot of stress, and I used it to cope with a lot of things I was going through personally at the time. Um, I was just going through a divorce when I came to Denver, and had other personal matters that were weighing on me heavily. And that's when the uptick, I first really started noticing I started using alcohol as a coping mechanism, not only as having fun, as I was perceiving to have good times and mixing it into my social environment, but I would drink alone at home. And I'd be thinking about some of the hurt and pain I was going through and felt inside. And so yeah, it definitely is a coping mechanism.
Yeah, I think that we all have different coping methods. Some of us go to the fridge and stuff our faces with food when we're
Yeah,
depressed with
I
anxiety.
did that too. I did plenty of
Yeah.
that. I ballooned. I really ballooned. I gained a lot of weight. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know in my personal life too, alcohol is a factor. We go to it for relief of some kind, thinking it's going to make us feel better or to get to forget or not to think about it. So it becomes a
Right.
big coping. And you know what? I think this is not a unique situation. I think many people
Oh,
are
absolutely.
struggling with alcohol. Um, I mean, now that you've been, have gone through this sobriety and been sober, I notice it. I pay attention to it when I go grocery store shopping or something. I see how many people are going into the liquor store coming out with their bottles. And, I know what they're doing. They're coming home, they're watching TV, and they're sitting down and drinking. And it becomes a part where you're, you finish work and what do? You pour a drink,
Exactly. Yeah.
and
Mhm.
it becomes a habit, just like some people have a smoking habit or some people have a munching habit. It's very addicting, I should say. So for you, finally, what made the decision that it was no longer negotiable to have alcohol in your life? Like, what was the turning point for you?
Yeah, it was again getting back to mom and my parents' wedding anniversary on April 10th, 2025. Before I get into that, I just want to go back to something you just touched on. Alcohol, not only, I mean, was it come home, watch TV. I started associating alcohol with other activities,
Right.
and it became a learned behavior to where it was kind of like, it was addictive, honestly, physically, physiologically, but it became this add-on to what I perceived as having fun or pleasurable. Okay. I love to fish. I'd always have my drink. If I was fishing at a lake, I have my cooler, my beers, um, sitting around. I love to go camping, sit around the campfire. So alcohol weaseled its way into making its presence in other activities that I love to do, that just made it like it just crept in there like a worm and said, now I'm part of these things that you love. So it was another mental aspect. But getting back to your question, yes, it was in April 2025. And I was here in my office, right where I'm sitting. Um, I woke up, I was down here, I could not sleep in our bed because I was laid up, and I was sleeping down here on the couch, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was just feeling terrible, and I just thought this has to change. My hands hurt. I had compression gloves on. I've shared this picture on my posts on LinkedIn and with other people. I'm standing here with no shirt on in my plaid pajamas, holding the camera and with my compression gloves on because my neuropathy, my hands, I couldn't even do this. And I was shaking. And I just thought, dude, you are spiraling so out of control. And you really got to pull back on the yoke. You've got to pull this nosedive out. And and again, I was thinking of my dad. I was thinking of my mom and the pain that they went through. And I just thought, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I've tried it. I've quit successfully. I've been a functioning alcoholic for years, never got arrested, never got in the way of my work, always, but inside, and, it had done its damage in previous relationships, and I could see what it was doing to my body. And I just thought, man, you, how do you want to spend the rest of your life? Immobile, sick, you know, continuing to spiral, or thrive and help others and spread the word and get out of this rut I was in. So
Yeah,
that
and
was it.
yeah, and I'm going to add something in there. It wasn't just a rut you were in too, because it was affecting us because it became our struggle.
Yes.
We we were in vacation in Costa Rica when you had that horrible accident where you fell and broke your femur. But you know what? We had decided on this trip it was going to be something for being healthier and feeling great, better.
Right. That's
But what
right.
did we do? We were drinking every single day, and it was becoming a frustration for both of us.
It
And
was.
it's
Yes.
not easy to make a decision to walk away from alcohol. It becomes such a strong addiction, again, associated with different activities that you do.
Right.
It's like an easy escape from whatever. And yeah, so I
Oh,
remember when we came home from that trip, even I was feeling like, where where is this going to lead us? We both felt this.
we both felt it. We
Yeah, we
did.
both
We
felt it.
did.
And when you made that decision, that was a huge, huge thing. And because I know what I was thinking. I was thinking, you've had this accident. Where's your health going from this point forward? And on Saturday, we're going to show some pictures because it's really a remarkable recovery you've done. I mean, it's just phenomenal. But
The
this is a
body
big,
can heal. The body can heal.
exactly. That was my next question here. How did being sober, um, how has it affected your metabolic health? Have you seen changes with your sleep, your mental clarity, that kind of thing? What have you experienced since you said that's it?
No, absolutely. I've experienced a lot of positive effects from no longer drinking. Um, Mental clarity, absolutely. The brain fog associated with alcohol and insulin resistance. And alcohol just plays into insulin resistance
It's
because
sugar.
it's nothing but sugar.
Yeah,
Okay. And so, yeah, I mean, it was uh, starting to really pay attention to my metabolic health by taking this step with alcohol and doing other measures as well. Um, I had definitely felt the energy coming back. I felt immediately better about myself for making that commitment. And the the results, I took hard data, not just my weight. I mean, I'm down 30 pounds since I was in April, but I took other markers like my A1C. I was pre-diabetic in April. I was right there, 5.7 A1C, down to 5.3. My fasting insulin, which I encourage everybody to have their doctors put that into your blood panel because usually they don't.
right.
Fasting insulin is down to 3 now, which is exceptional, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they say anything above 5 is kind of elevated. But the edema, well, you saw my ankles and my feet, my
Yeah.
legs
Swollen. Yep.
swollen, and even in my face, all my body was inflammation. So that's one of the first things that I really noticed as well was the reduction in inflammation, edema, and just overall, a good feeling about being on the right path. But that hard data is hard to ignore. That's part of why I started tracking this as because it's a constant reminder and it keeps me on track as well. And I encourage everybody that wants to take a first step in, to take note of how you're feeling, what, not just your weight, but get your blood panel data. My lipid panel is way good. And so, yeah, I'm really happy with the hard data. Definitely.
Yeah, and I've seen the change, but a lot of times we say a functional alcoholic. I think every alcoholic believes they are. Okay. It's like kind of something that we tell ourselves, but
Right.
maybe it's not 100% there.
Yeah.
So looking back right now, um, at how you were functioning, everything, how is alcohol quietly affecting your performance that you can attest to?
I think I would get tired. I would get tired quicker.
Hmm.
Um, of course, I not only was I drinking, but it lends itself to eating more too. Okay, again,
Hmm.
it's that it is this spike and then the crash that follows the glucose spike. All right, and my insulin level was at an elevated state over a number of years from my drinking and coping through drinking and eating excessively. And so, yeah, I would in the afternoon, it was like, man, where's the coffee? Where's something? I was feeling tired. And again, it was my body, crashing from all the elevated glucose and insulin. And not only that, it was kind of like mentally, um, I was not feeling as good about myself, and it affected my leadership. You know,
Hmm.
to be an effective leader, you got to walk the walk, you got to lead by example, and be strong. And yeah, every leader has their weak moments, but you know what? You really got to lead by example. And I felt ashamed of my excessive obesity. Okay, and a lot of that I'd go back and what would I do? I'd cope with that shame. How? By drinking more.
Having another drink.
It was a
Yeah.
vicious circle, vicious circle. And so it's all up here. Then you start doing more of the alcohol, and it just gets you into this trap.
And it's really hard. It's really hard to break that cycle.
It is.
And I know that on LinkedIn, when you on your Straight Talk from the Edge, this is phenomenal. You have been documenting your journey, and I highly recommend everybody go there and take a look at your LinkedIn. It's phenomenal. And it's a lot of people have been commenting, and it's a journey that you've taken a whole crowd of people on. And that's the other reason why we're doing this. So I guess another question I have to talk about here is socially for a minute. And you're walking the walk and you're taking people on this journey with you. So your first social event where you did not have alcohol, because everything we usually do is a social event with alcohol, whether it's with friends, you're going somewhere, you're having a party, and you talked about going hunting or camping. Okay, so how was your first social event like without having alcohol? What did that feel like for you? What did you have to do to cope with that?
Well, I'm trying to remember just, kind of rewinding back to like what that might have been. And I think it was probably just hanging out with some friends. Um, and it was it was a mindset shift for me. And so I went into it with a resolve that, you know what, this is not going to be easy. And yeah, you're going to, you might pine for that Voodoo Ranger beer, or that glass of whiskey or what have you. Um,
JMO.
JMO, yeah, one of our favorites, right? And so it was kind of like, for me, it was really a test for me too, because I remember we've had events here where we've had guests and we've had alcohol available, because for me it wasn't like I don't need to not be around alcohol. I need to manage my own situation and not run from alcohol in the
Right.
sense that I can't be around. You know, you and I have gone down to one event to stand. I mean, we've gone down, you and I have gone down to one of my old favorite watering holes, the Northside Tavern here in Colorado, in Brimfield. Okay. And we'd have our non alcoholic beer and watch a quarter of football, which I thoroughly enjoy. But I did it with you, and we both didn't have any alcohol, and we still enjoyed that. So a lot of it was just kind of like, I can do this, and I can do it without the alcohol. I can still go into a bar and have a non-alcoholic beer and enjoy the atmosphere and watch it, watch a game or a part of a game. So it was very kind of rewarding for me to step through each of these events, and then also like going out camping and fishing, that we've done this summer, and without it, sitting by the campfire without it, enjoying, another hot drink instead of a hot toddy with.
Yeah. We made
Yeah,
half a hot apple cider. And you know what? You're right.
exactly.
And we had just as much fun as if we were drinking without and we woke up feeling great in the morning without.
We did. That's right.
Exactly, because when you become a heavy drinker or an alcoholic, you sometimes don't know your limitations. You
Yes.
keep drinking, 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 and you regret it after many, many times. It's a regret thing.
Times.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
mean, there's still times you Jones for it, right? When we're doing something that not really Jones for, but you still have that association that,
Yes. It's, I
normally I'd
mean,
be drinking some whiskey right now, you know?
the old saying goes, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. And I
Mhm.
mean, I'll be a recovering alcoholic forever, you know? And
Yeah,
so
it's a forever thing.
it's
Yeah.
a forever thing. And so you have to treat it like that. But it's not like this doomsday thing. I welcome every day. Um, and every day I get to go, wow, another win, another win. Okay. Every situation where I feel like, oh, that beer sure would have been tasty. I'm going, dude, you know, you don't need it. And
So
your body is thanking you for it.
exactly. So someone that's watching this today that is maybe sober curious because they know they have a problem, and that's the first step, admitting that you have a problem,
Yes.
but are nervous about social settings, what advice would you give them?
I would say don't let alcohol rule the situation. You can have just as much fun. And I know it's a mindset thing, and it
Mhm.
really is, because you go out and you think, and you have a lot of friends who are drinking. They're going, oh man, you turned into a teetotaler. You've got to remove yourself from that mindset and focus on healing yourself. Number one, okay, doing it for yourself. And there are all kinds of ways that you can replace alcohol and still have fun with your friends. Okay. Even if it's just emotion. Okay. Have a glass of something else that doesn't have any booze in it. All right.
Well, now they
Get
have
the
all these alcoholic beverages that are zero alcohol.
mocktails are the rave. And
Exactly.
you and I, we've had
Mhm.
some really good mocktails. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, the shift right now, the shift away from alcohol just in the last 5 years have been massive, because the word is getting out and the hard data is coming in to how alcohol we're starting to see this wave, okay, of all these conditions that are, the stats are really starting to show the dismal effects of alcohol, okay, and what it's doing on a population basis globally. And
Yeah.
so
And
the
I
word's
look
getting.
at the word's getting out. I look at my kids who are, I guess, millennials. I'm not sure what they are, but they are in that era. They're 30 and well, 31 and under. And they are making a shift because it's almost like now it's becoming common knowledge that there is a problem out there with alcoholism. And it was made a norm with the commercials, and it's still out there with commercials. Everybody's always drinking. You always associate something with alcohol. But I think that people are becoming more aware, and thank goodness that they don't have to be our age to finally figure it out.
right?
You know,
Exactly. No,
it's like,
yeah.
it's you know. So I have a
No,
question
it's
for you. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Were you going to say
no. I'm
something? Keep
go
going.
ahead.
Okay. So, what has sobriety given you that alcohol never could? That's a
Hope,
tough one.
hope.
Hope? Okay.
Um, yeah. I mean, alcohol to me was coping mechanism, not a hoping mechanism. Okay.
Hmm.
When I would drink, I would cope. I would say, I just want to get through this, whatever it was, this moment of, you know, crisis or what have you. But there was never, I'd never feel the hope. For matter of fact, I felt more despair
Hmm.
because, and again, part of this vicious circle. You drink, then you'll get into a cycle of feeling like, wow, the shame will hit, the guilt will hit, and the despair will hit. And you'll know the reality deep inside of what you're doing. Okay. And my outlook was not favorable when I get up the next day, especially then I'd see my credit card bill at the end of the month and look at my bar tab. There's another aspect. I won't even get into that, but it's huge.
Hmm.
And in the last 10 months, I've had a renewed hope and a renewed purpose to really get out and share my story because I've lived it, I've felt it, I know what it's like. And I know that people have what it takes to do what's right for their own health and their families, you know. And so again, it's hope. It's a feeling of wow, I can reclaim. I'm not going to let alcohol steal from me because it does. It steals from you in so many ways. Okay. And
Your
so,
health
yeah.
for one. Your health for one. I mean, you
Oh
don't
yeah,
know
that's the big
sick
one.
or sick, right?
That's the big one.
We always
Yeah,
think, "Oh my goodness," and you know what? And you talked about that shame and that guilt, and that's a real thing because
it is.
once I mean, I can have a glass of wine and have light drinking, but there was a point too. We've been through this where I was all of a sudden a heavy drinker too, and you know what it's doing to you. You're not happy with it. You don't feel good about what you're doing, but you hard to get out of that rut. And it makes another level of stress in your life.
It does.
It just puts another level of stress in your life because you're trying to give something up. You know it's a problem, but you don't know exactly how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So it's about making that decision. So if someone is listening today and they are standing at their crossroads, they can identify with what you're talking about. What is one thing you would tell them to really give them something to make this change? What would you tell them?
Be honest with yourself and get help.
Mhm.
I went I just I mean I've gone through this gyration enough. I managed to just like do it.
It was
Um,
enough.
it was enough, and I was able to step away, and so far so good, right? 10 months in, so far so good, but it's a daily recommit. So you need to be honest with yourself, and you need to be ready to take that first step and make the commitment to you. Okay. And if you it I mean, there's all kinds of resources out there for you. Okay. I my places of work that I worked at had programs available for substance abuse. Okay. I didn't take advantage of those. So that's another thing. I mean, take advantage of the resources, but first of all, you got to be honest with yourself and take that first step. Whether it's getting on the phone, talking to a friend, sharing. That's part of how I go about my recovery is through sharing my story. That's kind of like going to AA every week, right? Um,
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
and so I put it out there not only just in the confines of AA, I put it out for the whole freaking world to see. And to me, that is holding myself accountable and it's spreading the word that other people, um, I don't care if just one person takes that first step and I help them along that by sharing my story, my mission has been accomplished. And
Exactly.
so that'll be my mission going forward. And but I have to do a daily recommit. I have to wake up and go, wow, another day, another win. Let's get the word out. Let's share. Let's not be shameful. And it's hard some days. I
Oh, yeah,
still, my past wants to reel me back in and drag me down into the well of shame and guilt. Okay, and it's easy to do. You and I've had these conversations, Mom.
I
And
know.
so it is one of just really a lot of, and again, surround yourself with people that are going to uplift you and support you on your journey.
Exactly. Because you
That is
may lose
another
some
key thing.
friends. You may lose
Surround
some
yourself.
people in your life.
Yep. So, you know, those that are close that you hang out with all the time, they have the biggest influence. So your tribe, who you hang out with, is going to have a big impact on how successful you are in your journey with alcohol.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because that's a really good point because you may have to change your tribe, depending
Yes.
who your tribe is,
You
because
might have to cut, it doesn't mean like you have to burn bridges, but guess what? If you're going out with somebody who's just pounding them down, it's just, you know what? And one thing I've found is I've taken some people with me that have joined my bandwagon that have gone, wow, I really don't need booze, just by, and I've had those conversations so rewarding saying, John, I followed you and I'm watching you and I'm joining you. And that's pretty damn rewarding
that
just
is
to
really
help you.
rewarding. Yes,
It's really
because
rewarding, especially when they're really good friends.
exactly.
Yeah,
But that tribe thing is very important because you
it
may
is.
have some friends that will encourage you go, it's okay, just have one drink. We'll just have one drink. But you know
Yeah,
what? For someone that's an alcoholic, that one drink could put you right back because it's like you never stopped.
exactly.
So it's like what you said, that decision making that this is enough, this is it. You have to recommit every single day.
You do.
It's going to be like that for the rest of your life.
It is.
And it's a habit that's very hard to break, but once you do it, every day you chalk up that extra day, you can mark it off, and that feels better than falling back and having to start over again. Or
Exactly.
maybe not because you've fallen off the wagon again, and that happens.
Right. No, it does. I mean, I've had my fails,
We all have,
you've
yeah, we,
watched me. You've
yeah,
watched me. And so, but you talked about habits, and it's about ditching old habits, creating new habits. And I've been reading this book. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it's a really powerful book. And just these incremental steps. You don't need to climb the whole staircase. Take the first step. And so, you know, it's just the little tiny wins have like will give you massive gains.
well, it's been incredible watching you through this transformation. It's the happiest thing in my life as your wife
Thank you,
because
honey.
I was very scared back in January of last year.
As I
Um,
was.
yeah, so it was a very transformational moment. And when you made that decision, it was a very happy moment for me too, because I also was struggling. And when you have someone that can go through this together with you, it's very powerful. So we're not done yet. We have a part two coming up. So this was just kind of the first part of the journey, but there's much more to this. It's part two. It's going to be on Saturday at 12 Mountain Time at noon this Saturday. And you've got another big challenge coming ahead. The title on this one, Sturgeons Will Stop My Heart. So you can give them a little tease tonight about what is going to be happening to you and how making this change last year has been something that's preparing for what's happening around the corner here. Go ahead.
No, I think you pretty much touched on it enough, and it is Monday morning. I will be on an operating table, and my heart will be stopped, and I'm going to be going through some pretty crazy stuff. And so the good news is the prognosis is good, but yeah, more to come on that Saturday. But yeah, leading up to this. I've got a lot of good confidence going into this, and of course, to my readers on LinkedIn and Facebook, I've shared a lot already. But yes, join us on Saturday, and I'm happy to share the next chapter and where I'm heading.
Yeah, it's been a very emotional year. You've done so many phenomenal things on your health journey.
Been a
And
wild
what's been
ride.
it's been a wild
It's
ride.
been a
And
wild ride. Yeah,
this next step you wouldn't be prepared for if you wouldn't have done what you've done in this last year.
absolutely. No, it's been the transformation of 2025 has prepared me for the transformation of 2026.
Yeah, it's going to be the best years to come
Yes, indeed.
for sure. So everybody, I know we couldn't see any comments in here, and because we're streaming this actually on YouTube as well as Instagram and here on Facebook. But if you have any questions, please put comments down and we'll see them and we can answer you. And for sure, join us on Saturday. We've got a lot to talk about. And
We do.
John, the rest of his journey here that's going on. And please go to LinkedIn, look up John. You can see his name in here, so you can look him up there. But also, he's got straight talk from the edge. He has a newsletter that he puts out every single week. And he shares, just like we both do, we share a lot on Facebook about the wellness journey, along with this, but also on insulin resistance, which is all wrapped together in everything we've been
Absolutely.
talking about. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. John, thank you for being so vulnerable to share this with the world. That is just an incredible thing by itself because most of us keep it to ourselves. And
Did
it's
for
like you,
years.
yeah. So by you sharing this, you're going to change many, many people's journey just
I hope
because of the
so.
courage you have
I
for
hope so.
doing this. So I want to thank you for everybody for the courage you have for sharing this. And we'll see everybody on Saturday.
Well, I'm honored to be here, and again, it's part of my healing journey to do this, and it's part of my mission. And again, it's holding myself accountable as well. So
Okay.
thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. It's my honor.